There are 5 money paradigms that kill sales every single day. And as I go through these, I want you to be brutally honest with yourself about which ones might be holding you back. So here we go. The first paradigm is what I call the money is evil paradigm. Now, you might be thinking, I don't believe that money is evil, but let me ask you, have you ever felt nervous or guilty about charging what you're really worth? Have you ever hesitated to ask for a larger commission or a bonus, even when you've earned it? Have you ever caught yourself apologizing for your prices or feeling like you have to justify them? That's how this paradigm hides. It rarely announces itself. Instead, it shows up subtle, in familiar ways, especially if you were raised hearing things like money's the root of all evil, or rich people don't pay their fair share, or it's not fair for one person to have so much. You may not even say these things out loud, but the mindset lingers. It shows up when you find yourself becoming the silent judge of what's fair in a deal. It shows up when you feel the need to defend your prices instead of confidently stating them. These beliefs are quiet, they're cunning, and they're deeply embedded in the subconscious mind, often picked up early in life when our programming mind is just being built. Now, here's the truth. These limiting beliefs, they leak into your sales conversations, whether you realize them or not. That's the power of the subconscious mind. So that's why it's so important to have another pro listen to your calls every once in a while. Because if your closing ratio is less than 80% and no one's reviewed your calls in the last 90 days, chances are this belief might be costing you more than you think. Here's how you'll know if it's at play. You hesitate to follow up on proposals. You feel awkward discussing price or commission. You justify your value even when no one's asked you to. You feel just a little bit guilty, or maybe you feel lucky when you close a deal, like maybe you didn't earn it. The universe just kind of handed you a good one. Again, just be honest with yourself. These beliefs can be slippery, but the moment you bring them back to light, the moment you see them, you begin to take control. Let's go on to the next one. The second paradigm is the I'm not worthy money paradigm. This one is especially dangerous because it doesn't shout, it whispers. It operates below your subconscious, below your awareness, quietly undermining everything you do. You can have all the sales training in the world, but deep down, you don't feel worthy of success. You'll find ways to sabotage it. Here's how this belief shows up in sales. You undersell your product or your service, afraid to charge what it's really worth. You give too much away. You give, you're hoping to kind of earn approval or validation by giving things away. Maybe you over-deliver to the point of being burned out, trying to prove your value rather than to stand in it. You discount your prices at the first sign of resistance because deep down, you don't believe people will pay you for your full value. And you assume that price is the only reason people say no, when the real issue is that you're not sold on your own worth. Now, this paradigm doesn't just cost you money, it costs you confidence, it costs you clarity and energy. Now, the first step to transformation is always awareness. You can't fix that which you don't know is broken. So pause. Ask yourself honestly, is this belief running in the background of my thinking? And if so, it's time to rewrite the script. You're not here to prove your worth. You're here to own it. Now, the third paradigm is what I call more money means less love paradigm. This belief often forms in our childhood. Maybe you saw your parents fight over money. Or maybe you watch someone close become successful and then lose important relationships because of it. The fear is very simple here. It's if I have more, I'll be loved less. And it shows up, again, in subtle, powerful ways. All of these are operating in the background of our thinking. They're in the subconscious mind. So you subconsciously keep your income below a certain level. You may downplay your success to stay relatable to family and friends. You probably would end up sabotaging big opportunities that would elevate you. You worry that if you become too successful, people won't like you or they'll leave you. But can also look like choosing romantic partners or friends who depend on you so that you can feel financially secure. Maybe you feel guilty for out-earning friends and family, and maybe you're compensating for it. Maybe you turn down promotions, or maybe you don't shine as bright. You try to hide your visibility because it feels emotionally risky to stand out. You could also be rejecting wealthy people or success itself, seeing them or the situation as being cold, arrogant, or lonely. Holding back your brilliance so that you don't outshine the people you love is a really bad way to go through it. Carrying on survivor's guilt when you rise above the financial level that you came from. See, this paradigm keeps you stuck in the tension between your desire to grow and your fear of being loved. But here's the truth. With the right mindset, money doesn't have to cost you love. It can actually amplify it. It can give you the freedom to love more freely, give more generously, and live more authentically. Now, here's the fourth paradigm. This is the money causes problems paradigm. This one's sneaky because it often masquerades as wisdom. You've probably heard, the stories of lottery winners going broke or wealthy people getting sued, families torn apart over inheritances. And without realizing it, your subconscious mind draws a conclusion. It says, it's safer not to have too much. And here's how this paradigm shows up in our behavior. We begin to avoid opportunities even when we're qualified. We get uncomfortable when a commission check is bigger than usual. You may delay scaling your business even bigger, always telling yourself that it's just not the right time. You could create friction or chaos when things are going too well, because part of you is waiting for something to go wrong. If you're planning for a rainy day, buy an umbrella, because sooner or later, you're going to create a rainy day. And here's what's fascinating. This belief creates the very thing it fears. See, when you believe money causes problems, you'll either avoid earning it altogether, or you'll manage it in ways that guarantee stress, confusion, or loss. The key is recognizing that money doesn't create problems. It reveals and amplifies what's already there. Money is an amplifier. If you carry stress, guilt, or fear, you actually magnify those things. But if you bring clarity, stewardship, and confidence, money becomes a tool that builds and not breaks. Now let's take a look at the final paradigm. The fifth and final paradigm is that I have to work hard for my money paradigm. Now let me be clear. I'm an entrepreneur, so I believe in a really good work ethic. But this paradigm ties your worth and your income directly to how hard or how long you work. And for sales pros, this can be devastating. Here's how to spot your behavior. You don't feel like you've truly earned money unless you're mentally or physically exhausted. You resist tools, systems, or strategies that would make your work easier because easy feels wrong. You feel guilty when a deal closes quickly or effortlessly, as if you didn't deserve it. You stay constantly busy, but you're not always productive. See, this belief turns sales into a grind. But here's the truth. In sales, your income is not rewarded for effort. It's not. It's a reflection of how effectively you solve problems and deliver value. Some of the most successful salespeople I know work fewer hours than anybody else in the office because they've shifted their money paradigm. They understand that results come from clarity and confidence and connection, not from burnout. When you drop this belief, you stop measuring success by struggle and you start measuring it by impact. Now, here's what makes these paradigms so dangerous to your success. These are not just abstract ideas. These are beliefs running in the background of your mind. They shape your decision-making, your sales conversions, your pricing, your confidence, whether you realize it or not. It's always on. But once you see them, once you name them, you can change them. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. Now, if you found yourself kind of nodding or cringing just a little bit as I describe these paradigms, you're not alone. You might be thinking, how do I keep track of all this? This is great. Now I understand the 5, but how do I track this? How do I know which one of these limiting beliefs might be driving my behavior? Well, I created something to help you. It's called the Money Mindset Reset Guide. Money Mindset Reset Guide. And I want you to download it right now for free using the link in the description below. This isn't just a recap of what I've already said. This is a transformational tool. Inside, you'll be able to identify exactly which paradigms are affecting you most, spot their signs as they show up, and then track your progress as we continue this training. Keep it nearby as we go through this video, because next, we're going to dive deep into how to shift these paradigms and completely transform your relationship with money once and for all. Now, here's the thing. I know about these paradigms and how they can sabotage our success because I lived with them for the first half of my life. Now, for the last 4 decades, I've woken up to this, and I've been able to help thousands of people reach their full potential in sales. But more importantly, I started out as a high school dropout. I was working as a janitor making $20,000 a year, and I was held back in my own thinking by these exact same paradigms, never knowing what my worth was. What I'm about to share with you is what I've learned about transforming your relationship with money to transform your sales into positive results. Now, in order to transform this critical relationship with money, you need to not only understand what paradigms you've been operating from, but also what level of awareness you have. See, your money awareness determines everything about how you show up in sales conversations. It affects your tonality, your confidence, your ability to build trust, and ultimately, your results. And I've discovered that there are 3 distinct levels of money awareness. And until you know which level you're operating from, you'll keep hitting that same ceiling that I hit when I was in struggle in my early career. Now, let me show you these 3 levels of awareness. And as I describe each level, notice which one resonates most with where you are right now. Now, in order to get really clear on this, I've put in your Money Mindset Reset Guide the awareness level assessment. This is very simple, won't take you but a few minutes, but it's a powerful tool. Don't let the simplicity cause you not to do it, because it will help you pinpoint exactly where you are now and show you specific signs that you're progressing to the next level of awareness. So this first level is what I call the survival level. This is where most salespeople, and truthfully, most people in general, find themselves stuck, even if they're making a decent amount of money. See, at this level, every sale feels like it's a fight. You're constantly worried about hitting your numbers, making quota, or just keeping your head above water. When you're at the survival level of awareness, you're actually operating from scarcity. And here's what's fascinating. Your prospects, just through their intuition, can feel this energy from you. They may not be able to consciously define it, but they'll say, there's something, I just don't get a good vibe. There's something off. See, they can sense it. You might be saying all the right words, but there's something in your tonality, something in your energy, your presence that communicates desperation. This is exactly what happens when you're operating from that 5th paradigm that we discussed, that I have to work hard for my money paradigm. You're constantly busy, working harder and harder, but never seeing the results that you want because you're trapped in this cycle of equating struggle with success. I remember when I was operating at this level of awareness early in my career, as I said earlier, I was making about $20,000 a year cleaning toilets. And even though I wanted to be rich and I was working hard, I had this competing commitment in my mind. See, I had been programmed to believe that rich people were bad people, that the way they got ahead was that they took advantage of other people like me and my family. Now, this ties right into that first paradigm, the money is evil paradigm. Do you see the conflict? On one hand, I want to be rich. But on the other hand, I believe that rich people were bad. Now, I didn't want to be a bad person, but I did want to have the money. I did want to be rich. And those two kind of competing commitments was killing my sales results. Let's take a look at the second level of money awareness. And this is what I call the success level. This is where you start to kind of break free from the scarcity mindset. You begin to see money as a tool, right? It's a tool. It's just, it's an energy that flows. This is why we call money currency, right? Currency, it's meant to flow. So at this level, you're no longer kind of fighting against your own beliefs when you're in a sales conversation. You're no longer in your head. But you know what's interesting? Is when salespeople reach this level, their closing rates typically increase by 50 to 60% in the first 6 months. Not because they learned any new, tricks and tips or techniques, but because they were no longer unconsciously sabotaging themselves. The shift was in their mindset first, and then their performance changed. But here's where it gets really exciting. The third level, what I call the significance level, this is where you truly understand that money is neither good nor bad. It's simply a tool for creating value and impact in the world. At the significance level, you are completely comfortable talking about money. You're not attached to the outcome of any single deal because you know there's an endless supply of prospects out there. You're operating from a place of absolute certainty. And sales is the transference of the emotion of certainty. And when you reach this level, your prospects feel it. They can sense your level of certainty. They trust you more because they can tell you trust yourself. You're not desperate for the sale. You're there as a trusted advisor, as someone who can genuinely help them solve their problems. Now, here's the question. How do you move from one level to the next level of awareness? How do you go up the ladder? Well, I'm going to give you the exact steps to transform your relationship with money in a way that will revolutionize your sales results. And I'm not talking about positive thinking or affirmations here. This is not pixie and fairy dust. I'm talking about real, lasting transformation based on proven psychology. If you're following along in the reset guide, and I really hope you are, if you haven't downloaded it, do it now. I want you to turn to the transformation section that I've included specific exercises for each step that we're about to cover. This way, you can turn these insights into actual transformation instead of just kind of interesting information. Information will not change your life. It's not going to change your results. It's the application of really good ideas that will change your results. So here's the first step. It's something that most people will never do. Now, we all know to do it, but we don't do it. And you need to understand your money story. This is about uncovering your history with money, the experiences and messages that have shaped how you view it and your beliefs around it. Think of it this way. Think of watching a movie of your life with money. What scenes would be in that movie? Now, let me give you an example. When I was starting out, my money story was shaped by growing up in a single-parent household with my mom in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And my mom would say things like, we're poor because, the rich people took more than their fair share. Now, think about that. Think about that kind of a programming and how that affects your sales conversations. Your money story shows up everywhere in your sales process. It's in the way you present your prices. Like, do you state them with confidence or do you kind of almost whisper them? It's in how you handle objections. Do you stand firm in your value or do you immediately seek to discount the price? It's even in your follow-up process. Do you confidently check in with the prospects? Or do you worry about being a bother and a pester? The second step is different. It's about identifying your current limiting beliefs about money. See, while your money story is about your past, your limiting beliefs are about your present. They're about right now. They're the conclusions that we've drawn from our story and the rules that we're currently living by. Here's a simple but powerful way to identify these beliefs. Complete this sentence. Money is blank. Money is what? And whatever automatically comes to mind, write that down. Then ask yourself, is this belief serving me? See, I don't want you to write down, money is, and then write down something that you think you should be thinking. Write down what your real gut feeling is. Ask yourself, does this belief serve me? If I believe that, money is hard to get, if that's the first thing that comes, does believing that serve you? See, is it helping me serve my clients? Again, these are competing commitments we have. But what's fascinating is that most people stop at the first answer. They write down, one thing, and then they think they're done. But let me tell you, your limiting beliefs have multiple layers, like tentacles. That's why I want you to complete that sentence at least 5 times, because it's usually around the 4th or 5th answer that the real limiting beliefs start to surface. Think about this. Have you ever had a great month in sales and then suddenly started performing poorly? That's often your limiting belief kicking in. We don't ever outperform our own self-belief. So you hit a certain income level, and at some unconscious belief based in a money paradigm of I'm not worthy says, this is too much. I don't deserve this. It should be harder. And do you realize that what you'll do is you'll unconsciously start to sabotage your success? You'll begin to behave in ways that create things that you do not want. You see, sales at its highest level is about serving others. When you truly believe in your product or your service, when you know it can help people, you have an obligation to sell it. In fact, I would argue that not selling effectively is actually doing a disservice to the people who need what it is that you're offering. Let's look at the 3rd step. This is what I call shifting your money paradigm. Now, this happens when you start seeing money for what it really is. Money, if we really think about it, is simply an idea. It's an idea that we exchange for value. It's neither good nor bad. It's like electricity. It's neutral until it's directed in some direction, until it's directed somewhere. This shift is crucial because it changes everything about how you approach sales. Think about electricity for a moment. Nobody says electricity is evil or, I'm not worthy of electricity. Nobody feels guilty about using electricity. We simply see it as a tool that powers the things that make our lives better. And that's exactly how you need to start thinking about money. It's not about being worthy or unworthy. It's not about good or evil. It's simply a tool for creating and exchanging value. And what it does is it allows you to provide service beyond your own physical presence. I've built a school in Kenya for about 100 kids. Now, every day 100 kids wake up, they put on their school uniform that I paid for, they take vitamins that I paid for, they go to a school building that I paid for, they have a teacher that I've paid for, they sit at desks and chairs that I've paid for, they read from books that I've paid for, they eat a lunch that I've paid for. I've never been to Kenya, okay? But my money has been there. Money's a tool, right? It's an idea. It's an exchange for value. And it allows you to be comfortable, for sure. We want to be comfortable. But it also allows you to provide service beyond your own physical presence. I don't need to go to Kenya to build the school. I don't need to go to Kenya to feed the children. I don't need to go to Kenya to do the work there. My money's there doing the work. And I'm here generating more income so that I can give more and do more and impact more. Here's what I believe. I believe that the world needs you rich. It needs you rich. The world needs you to be successful. The world needs you to make more money than you've ever made. And here's why. It's not because I'm some greedy capitalist, although I am a capitalist. It's that I found that when good people make more money, they do more good in the world. They create more opportunities. They help more people. They make a bigger impact. Think about what happens when you start seeing money this way. Suddenly, every sales conversation becomes about an opportunity to create value. Every proposal becomes a chance to solve real problems. Every follow-up call becomes an act of service. All of a sudden, there's a different purpose. You're operating from purpose. Mark Twain said the two most important days in a person's life is the day they were born and the day they found out why. Now, here's where this really directly impacts your sales. When you shift your money paradigm, something really fascinating happens in your sales conversions. You stop being attached to the outcome. You stop trying to convince people to buy. Instead, you start having authentic conversations about how you can genuinely help someone. Your tonality will change. Your body language will change. Instead of a subtle tension that comes from the anxiety about money and the need to make the sale, there's a relaxed confidence, a calm confidence that comes from knowing that you're there to serve. Your body language, as I said, it changes. It no longer kind of fidgets out of nervousness when it's time to discuss price. The words you choose change. You stop using weak phrases like I think or maybe, and you start speaking with certainty. And most importantly, the energy you bring into the sales conversation changes. Your energy signature changes. What you broadcast out, not only to the person in front of you, but to the universe changes. You're no longer coming from a place of need or scarcity. You're coming from a place of service and abundance. Think about how different your sales conversions would be if you truly believed there was an unlimited supply of prospects and opportunities. Believe it or not, I've seen salespeople double and triple their income within months of making this mental shift. Not because they learned new techniques, but because they finally got out of their own way. They got out of their head and into their heart. They made that 18-inch journey. They stopped sabotaging themselves with limiting beliefs about money. And here's what's really exciting. This transformation is permanent. See, once you transform your relationship with money, it becomes part of who you are. It becomes natural. You don't have to remember to be confident about money anymore. Then you have to remember to be confident about electricity. Now, let me show you exactly how to implement these changes into your daily sales practice, because knowledge without action, as I said before, is just entertainment. And I want this to be transformational for you. Now, in your reset guide, you'll find what I call the daily practice tracker. I've designed this specifically to help you build these new habits without feeling overwhelmed. I use this myself. That's where it came from. This isn't some, feedback from a chat GPT. This is from my real life. And I've sold or directed the sales of over $1 billion worth of products and services. So I know this works. It just includes some simple check boxes for you to practice each and every one of the items there. And through spaced repetition of time to record your insights as you start seeing shifts in your results. Wayne Dyer said that when we change the way we look at something, the thing that we look at change. And when you start to change the way you look at your own performance, your performance begins to change. Now, there are 3 daily practices that will help you maintain this healthy money mindset. They're not complicated. They're simple, really easy to do every day, but they're powerful enough to create lasting change. The first daily practice is what I call the money mirror. Every morning before you start your day, I want you to look into the mirror and just have a 2-minute conversation about money. But here's the key. You're going to talk about money in a way you talk about any other neutral tool, like a hammer or a screwdriver, because that's what money is. It's a tool for creating value. You might say something like, today I'm going to help people make decisions about investing in themselves, and I'm going to present solutions that solve real problems. The money that flows from these solutions is simply evidence that I'm creating real value. It's a mantra for yourself. Now, the second daily practice is what I call value tracking. At the end of every single day, I want you to write down 3 specific ways that you created value that day. Not how much money you made, not whether you closed the deal or not, but how you actually helped people. Now, this practice is powerful for those of you who resonated with that first paradigm. Remember, money is evil. See, when you're focused on tracking value and the value that you create, you start seeing money as evidence of the good that you're doing in the world. Maybe you helped a prospect see a problem that they didn't even know they had. Maybe you showed someone a solution that they didn't even know existed. This practice does something else. It also breaks down the link between the hours you work and the value you create. Remember that 5th paradigm we talked about? The one that says, I have to work hard for my money, that paradigm? Well, this helps shift that. Now, here's the 3rd daily practice. It's celebration anchoring. See, every time you complete a sale, I want you to take 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, to really celebrate, not the money, but the fact that you helped someone make a decision that you know is going to improve their life or their business. This creates an association in your own mind between sales and service. Now, let me warn you about the common pitfalls that people encounter during this transformation. There are places where most people will get stuck. But this is what I'm going to show you how to avoid those. And the first pitfall is what I call the pendulum swing. See, when people first start transforming their relationship with money, they often swing from one extreme to the other, right? They go from being apologetic about their prices to being a little bit too arrogant, from being too soft to being maybe a little bit too aggressive or pushy. The key is to find that calm confidence, to find that place of harmony and balance. You want to be confident, but there ought to be a level of humility. You want to be assertive, but also empathetic. The second pitfall is the quick fix trap. Some people think that they can change their money paradigm overnight. Well, it wasn't built overnight. And what they try to do is they try to force change. But remember, these patterns have been years in the making. You formed them from the time that you were born until the age of reason, which for most of us is the age of like 9 to 12 years old. So you've had those. I mean, it took you 9 years to build them. Give yourself a little bit of time to transform them naturally. Focus on your progress, not perfection. Here's the third pitfall, and this is the isolation effect. People try to make this transformation alone. If it's going to be, it's up to me. But your environment will either support your growth or suppress it. You need to surround yourself with people who have a healthy relationship with money, who aren't afraid to talk about money, who aren't intimidated by money, who aren't overimpressed about money. That's why programs and communities like the one that I built with the Martinelli Sales Method are so powerful to help you transform your results, because you truly have the support to make lasting change. Here are the specific metrics that I want you to track during this transformation. First is track your money conversation comfort, right? So you're going to give yourself a score. So after every conversation, rate yourself from 1 to 10. How comfortable did you feel discussing money? Now, don't try to get, perfect scores. Just watch the trend over time. Second, track your value first ratio. So like in each sales conversation, count how many times you talk about value versus how many times you talk about price. You want that ratio of like 3 to 1. Third, I want you to track your bounce back time. So when you face rejection or a deal falls through, how long does it take you to kind of get back to that positive mindset? This metric is especially important if you identified with the fourth paradigm that money causes problems. See, you'll start to see that setbacks They're just feedback, not confirmation of your fears or your lack of skill and talent. Watch this time decrease as your transformation progresses. And when you find yourself bouncing back faster and faster, you'll know you're breaking free from that old paradigm. Remember, these metrics aren't about judging yourself. This is about awareness, not self-judgment. They're feedback tools to guide your growth. They show you where you're making progress and where you need to focus a little bit more attention. Let me wrap this lesson up this way. In all of my years of sales training thousands of people all over the world, I've noticed that people who struggle the most with sales are often the ones who have the most potential. They're smart, they're hardworking, they genuinely want to help others, but it's their relationship with money that holds them back. We started by uncovering these 5 paradigms that may be secretly sabotaging your sales career. From believing money is the root of all evil, to thinking that you have to work really hard for every single dollar. Then we explored the 3 levels of awareness that you have around money, seeing how you can move from survival mode, where every sale feels like you have to fight to get it, to a place of significance, where you're operating with this complete, absolute certainty and authenticity. We didn't just kind of identify the problems, we walked through the exact steps to transform your relationship with money. And I showed you the daily practices that will cement these changes into your permanent habits, anchoring them into your subconscious mind. You now have very specific metrics to track your progress, ensuring that you're not just hoping for change, but you're measuring it and you're actually creating it. But here's what's critical. Knowing this information isn't enough. You have to take action. You have to be willing to examine your own relationship with money and make the changes necessary to reach your full potential. If you haven't downloaded your Money Mindset Reset Guide, make sure you do it now. I'd ask myself, what's prevented me from downloading this free resource? Like, why would you not do it? See, as you've seen throughout this training, it contains all the exercises, all the tracking tools, all the implementation steps that we've covered. So why would you not? I'm going to suggest that you not downloading it is one of those subconscious, unconscious limiting beliefs that sabotage you. Maybe the limiting belief is, it's too good to be true. Or maybe he's just trying to sell me. Maybe that's it. See, every paradigm assessment, every daily practice, every metric, it's all there in a format that you can start right now. Why would you not download it? Remember, to actually use it, print it out, keep it handy, put it on your device. Don't just download it and forget about it. I can tell you this, the people who get the best results are the ones who work through each exercise and consistently track their progress. I've made it as simple as I possibly can for you to follow it. And here's what I'll tell you. I absolutely guarantee it will make a significant difference in your results if you'll do this. And if you're ready to take your sales success even further, I want you to watch my video called 57 Years of Sales Knowledge in 34 minutes. In it, I break down my proven 11-step sales process that creates predictable results every single time. You'll find that video linked in the description below. Once you've transformed your money mindset, this system will show you exactly how to structure every sales conversation for maximum results. It's the perfect complement to what you've already learned today. So go watch that video right now. I'll see you in the next video.